was like, yes, just let me know when. So I'm so glad you guys could take some time out of y'all's day, out of y'all's Sunday, and just jump on and listen to him. I am recording this, so if there's somebody that is not able to hop on, we'll be able to get them the recording. But of course, whenever you guys hear it live, it's so much better. So go ahead and take over, babe. I am going to record over here. And you guys, if you can take notes, that would be awesome. But go ahead, babe, you can unmute.
Okay. Okay, I'm unmuted.
Is that speaking?
Yeah, you're gonna have to. Did you mute yours?
Yeah.
You're gonna have to turn yours down. All right. Yes. Can everybody hear me? Thumbs up. All right. Perfect. All right. Well, first of all, I hope everybody had a exciting and happy New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. 2021's got to be the most anticipated New Year of all time. So yeah, we were talking, just like Vanessa said, we were talking about the conversation that we were going to have this New Year, in this New Year, this first time we've been able to get on and talk to you guys and pour into you guys a little bit. And she just said, man, there's so many things that I want to talk about. Where should I start? And I said, well, what is your word for this year? And, she had a great word, perspective, which I really like a lot. But I was thinking about some of the different, this time of year, especially with everything that's been happening, there's been so many different sporting events, and there have been so many games that people have played, and stories of adversity and overcoming adversity and still winning and different things like that. And one of the things that I've noticed, and if there's any Cowboys fans on here today, I apologize for this, but it's a perfect example of a situation where, and there's numerous examples of a situation where the team did not come to win, they came to try and not lose. And so the difference between playing to win and playing not to lose is a big, big difference. And I first noticed this in early December. I watched a team, it was the number one high school football team in Alabama, and they were in the state championship game, and they were losing by, they were down by 16 points. And there was only like 3 minutes left, but they were the number one team in the state and have been for a really long time. But the look on the face of the team that they were losing to, they did not look like they were there to win. They looked like they were just trying to do everything they could necessary to not lose. The coaches' calls sometimes were way too safe. They just didn't have the look of belief on their face during that time. And I just looked at their faces and I said, this team's going to lose. I just knew it just based on their body language and everything else. And what ended up happening was phenomenal. I mean, 3 minutes and 38 seconds. The number one team scored 2 touchdowns and drove down to kick a field goal with no time left, and they ended up winning the game, by 2 points. It was, and I thought to myself, I knew they were going to lose because they looked like they were going to lose, and they looked like they were not trying to win. And so that brought me to my point of there's 2 different ways to play a game. You can play a game to not lose, and you can play a game to win. And they look totally different. When you're playing the game to win, even when you're winning, you're still improving. You're still making changes. You're still looking at the opposition, or you're looking at what could come down the road, and you're making changes and different things and pivoting on certain things. And the reason why is because you want to win not just once in a while, you want to win all the time. So I watched that game, and it really opened my eyes to how I think we can sometimes fall in that trap of playing way too much defense and not enough offense. And so looking at that, the biggest thing is, when something like that happens, because it happens to all of us, we fight hard, we work, and we just barely miss our goal, and we think, oh, well, we'll get them on the next one, but then we start to notice that it becomes a consistent pattern. We consistently fall short of our goal each and every month. And then we think, man, how do we change this? Right. So I think the first thing that we need to do, when this happens, and this might be a little bit different than what you've heard, right? So if I step on any toes of how people are feeling about these kind of things, I apologize. But this is just, again, this is my perspective. And the first thing that we have to look at is, when the month ends, if that's your time frame for your goal, and when the month ends, if you haven't reached your goal, um, you need to feel it. You need to actually pay attention to what happened, and you need to understand what a loss is and what it looks like. More importantly, you have to look at how it feels. How does it feel to lose? I'm sure there's a lot of people on here that played some sort of sports, in middle school or high school or even at the collegiate level. None of us really like to lose. I don't think you see anybody on TV that says, losing is all right. It's okay to lose all the time, no matter what. There's no reason to ever win. Nobody likes to lose. But at the same time, how does it feel when you lose? How does it feel when you don't reach your goal? I think we need to spend some time there. And we need to think about how that really truly makes us feel, and whether or not we're being real with ourselves when we lose. When the game is over and we've lost, how do we feel? I saw another clip of a kid today, from I think it was Cincinnati, their college team that lost. The whole team went back in the locker room and did whatever it is that they wanted to do. There was one player that stayed on the field and watched the entire championship celebration, or whatever, the trophy celebration for the team that won. He was the only one out there. Why? Because he lost, and he wanted to see every single thing that he lost. He wanted to see every moment. He wanted to see every single cheer, every single trophy passed. He wanted to see it all, because two things: he wanted to know what it was like to win, and he also wanted to feel the reality of what he lost. And he saw it all, and it was just a picture. It had no words behind it or anything like that, but it spoke so many words to me. And so that's the way that I looked at it. So again, one of the things I want us to do is I also don't want us to dwell when you do lose. I don't want you to dwell on it to where you're just like, well, losing is all that I do, and you don't want to get into a pity party, because most of us, really, all it is, even if we've lost on multiple occasions, we're not losers. We just haven't figured out the way to win yet. That's all that it is. We haven't figured out what we need to do to win. So I want everybody that's on here listening to take this year, this month, everything that's laid out ahead of you, and understand that it is a challenge. We first need to understand that there is a challenge, and there's steps to a challenge. There's quite a few steps to a challenge, but the very first thing that you want to do when you're presented with a challenge each and every month is you want to accept the challenge. Okay. Don't just participate in the challenge because you think that's what everybody wants you to do. Don't just go through the motions. Don't just say, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and I'm going to do this, before you've actually accepted the challenge. And I know that sounds cliche, but really what it is you have to decide whether or not you are going to truly give it 100%, because at some point you have to do it to win. Now, if you've had some levels of success without really having to push hard for it, that's good. They're going to come. Either they're going to come in the beginning, or they're going to come in the middle, or they're going to come in the end. The worst place they can come is in the beginning, because in the beginning, when you reach success and you really haven't tried hard for it, it's hard to figure out where to go from there. So the biggest thing is to say, you know what, here's the challenge ahead of me. Now, the nice thing about It Works is they have just tremendous contests. They have tremendous giveaways. They have tremendous incentives. There's so many reasons to win, and they're everywhere. And a lot of us say, yes, I want that. I want this bonus. I want that bonus. And I want this for my people. And I want that. And we know what we want. It's all out there. It's all those things that we want. But the reality is it's a challenge. They're not just giving away money for free for no effort. You're going to have to challenge yourself. And so the first thing you want to do is accept the challenges, accept the challenge ahead of you. Some of us might not even be aware that there's a challenge taking place. We might not even realize that there's a contest. We're just kind of, oh, what's happening? What are we supposed to be doing? That happens. So first, understand that there is a challenge. Secondly, engage in the challenge, because you're going through a challenge of some sort, either the challenge that's ahead of you, or the challenge that's beside you, or a challenge that's behind you, right? So you're either dealing with something that's making the challenge more difficult. Maybe you're focused on a spouse. Maybe you're focused on a family member. Maybe you're focused on a situation. Maybe you're focused on a circumstance. Maybe you're focused on a challenge that has nothing to do with the challenge that's ahead of you. Well, you have to get real and understand that most of the challenges that you're facing that aren't part of this particular challenge would probably be solved if you were to win this challenge, right? So if you were to unlock something, if you were to win something, or try hard and reach your goals and get the kind of bonuses that you need, ask yourself, if I'm successful here, will I be successful here, here, and here? And then maybe the answer isn't an astounding yes in all three of these other ones, but you know what? Will they help? And where should I focus my time and effort? Should I focus my time and effort in what's going to pay me the most, reward? Or should I focus my time and effort on things that I probably can't control anyways, that are going to be even more difficult without winning challenge number one, right? So first of all, engage in the challenge that's going to give you the most success. Engage in the challenge that's going to give you more benefit. So be aware that there's a challenge taking place, first of all. Second of all, prepare for the challenge, okay? I think we roll into months and we just go, all right, it's January. Last month was December. Now it's January. All right, let's go. And then what are the challenges? I don't know. I'll figure them out. What are the hurdles? What are the pitfalls? I don't know. I'll figure it out when it comes. I don't have time to prepare for this challenge that I'm in. Well, if you don't prepare for the challenge, more than likely you're not going to succeed. You have to prepare for each and every month as a challenge. And maybe for some of us, it's each and every week. Whatever it is, you have to prepare for it. You have to know what you're up against. You have to have a game plan. I guarantee people that win all the time, they don't do it on accident. They do it on purpose. They do it by preparing. So how do you prepare? Preparing is asking yourself a series of questions. What questions are you going to ask? Okay, well, what do I have to do to win? I cannot just show up. I'm sorry. Unfortunately, there are no participation prizes in this particular contest. The company's not just going to send you money for every Zoom call that you're on. It's just not going to happen. So how do I win the game? In a game where I don't have to have more points than everyone else to win, I can win on my own individual level. How do I win the game? So you figure out what success is for you. If you've got to move to the next rank in order to attain the prize, then that's your challenge and that's how you win. You move to the next rank. So you figure out what you have to do to win. Be clear. Don't mess around. Don't just say, okay, well, wherever I land, I land. That's not going to help you win. So what do I have to do to win? What do I win? What am I going to get if I win? We have to be realistic and we have to write down what truly happens, because, we see all these, dollar signs and we see balloons and we see confetti and we see all this stuff floating around, but what is yours? What of it is yours, right? Marisa and I sat through a wonderful sermon today by a guest pastor who was actually a pastor of a church that we used to attend when we lived in San Antonio. So we knew who he was, and it was exciting to see him again because we hadn't seen him in a really long time. And I won't go into the sermon because I can explain it all with the title of the sermon, which was, This One's Mine. This one is mine. And so that is what we all need to do in this challenge, is we need to go, I got to get to diamond. This one is mine. I can do the diamond. I'm going to do the diamond. So that's what I'm going to do. That's going to be my success. So that's what I win. What do I win by going diamond? I'm going to get this, and I'm going to get that, and I'm going to get that. That will happen if I win. I understand that. So now I know what I win. Well, you're also going to have to understand that in order to win something, you also have to lose something, which means there are going to be some things that you're not going to be able to also have. If you don't identify those things that you're going to lose are going to push themselves to the head of the line, which means that then you're not going to win what you really want to win. And you're going to end up losing the whole contest, and you're going to be making time for the things that you might have been able to lose. So identify what you're going to lose. Are you going to lose some time elsewhere? Yes. Are you not going to be able to go to every event? More than likely. Are you going to have to sit out of some certain situations? Yes. Are there some things that you're going to miss for this particular month? Yes. Am I saying that you have to miss those things? I'm not saying that you have to miss them, but I'm saying identify what you have to lose. Identify what could possibly, stand in your way. So you're going to have to push some stuff aside in order to push some stuff ahead. So understand that. What do you win and what do you lose? Second or third, what is my time frame to win? How long do I truly have? Okay. The easy answer is I have 30 days, right? Or I have 31 days or whatever it is, right? I have 30 days. That's the easy answer. However, when do you start playing is the question. If you don't start playing until the 25th, before, all the auto ships have gone through, then you were never in the game to begin with. No. So, games have overtime, but you can only go to overtime if you're tied. If you're behind, you just lose. So understand your time frames, understand momentum and how well you can put yourself in a position if you're playing in the right time frame. So our time frame should always be the 15th of the month. Honestly, if you set yourself a goal of being to a certain place the 15th of the month, then you know that you've got those other days just in case. As a cushion, but understand your time frames. Most games you have 4 quarters. Okay, you don't want to start playing in the 4th quarter. You want to start playing immediately. And at halftime, where are you? What do you do from there? Right. So that's a big thing. So another question you can ask yourself: what is my game plan if I'm losing at a certain point? If I'm losing a weekend. If I'm losing, 2 weeks in at halftime, at 2 weeks in, if I'm losing, what am I going to do to shift the tide? What am I going to do to change things? Understand that just because you're not winning at halftime doesn't mean you won't win the game. So what is your plan once you get to that midpoint, whether you're winning or losing? Because even if you're winning at halftime, my first story illustrated, you can still lose. Even if you're winning in the 4th quarter, you can still lose. There's always a possibility. But if you're constantly playing to win, the losing doesn't matter because you won't lose. But you just have to identify where you're at in that particular situation. Okay? So what's your plan if you're not winning at halftime? What are you going to do? Are you going to look at it? Are you going to let it affect you? Okay? The biggest thing is what you can't do is you can't get discouraged, right? There's 2 types of things out there, right? There's discouragement and there's encouragement. Encouragement will help push you to the next level. Discouragement will drag you down a level. Nothing works. I've heard it before that the discouragement is the only way evil tools work, right? None of the other evil factors that are out there can ever even set foot in your mind if you're not discouraged. So you can't get discouraged. You have to be realistic. You can't think that you've won at halftime and you can't think that you've lost at halftime. You just have to be realistic about where you are. And there's no such thing as we can't. So I've heard mid-level conversation, and guys, I listen to everything, okay? So it's not like, we talk about the goods and the bads. I listen to conversations. Marissa's on speakerphone 99% of the time with you guys because she's doing 3 other things at once. But I listen to all the conversations, and I don't ever hear one particular person's voice, but I do hear voices sometimes, and sometimes those voices go, yeah, this is so-and-so is just not there right now. I just don't think we can get there, and I start to hear that thing, and I immediately think, man, it's halftime and we've given up, right? So you're not going to win at halftime. You're not going to lose at halftime. You're still going to be in the contest. So understand where you're at. And so, basically you're still going to continue. You're still taking the challenge. So understand if you give up at halftime, you're not just giving up on yourself. You're not just, say, oh, well, I don't need a bonus that bad, I guess, I'll live without it, whatever it is, right? You're also giving up on your team. And your team might not necessarily be the people under you. They might be the people beside you. They might be the people above you. But you're giving up on them, which gives them 2 things. Gives them less faith in you going forward, and it gives them reason and opportunity to also give up. you're allowing that to happen. So just understand that when you give up, you're not just giving up on yourself, you're giving up on everyone around you. Now, I also don't want people to feel pressured into accepting challenges that they're not willing to participate in. Okay. So you have to be realistic about every level of this game, right? So what does that do to the rest of the team? How do I score points, right? In this challenge, how do I score points? How do I advance? How do I get to this rank? What do I really have to do? And make it simple. What do I have to do? Well, I've got to recruit. I've got to train those people that I recruit. I have to motivate those people that I recruit. And there's no such thing as not motivated, right? If you have anyone underneath you, you have an obligation to motivate them. Do not ever recruit someone on your team if you aren't willing to motivate them, even when you're not motivated. That is not fair, and it's not worth anyone's time. So how do we get this question all the time, how do you stay motivated? I have people to motivate. I can't not be motivated. I have to be motivated. That's my obligation to the person that I brought in this business. It's not fair to bring someone in and just let them float around. You have an obligation to motivate them. That's why you brought them on board. So how do I assist? How do I help? How do I help other people on the team? What can I do to help, right? Those are questions that you have to ask. How can I assist? How can I score? Okay. So at what point do I this is number 3, if you guys are writing down numbers, at what point do I reassess and reevaluate? So at what point do I go, where's my trigger point to where I'm like, oh, if I don't start moving now, or if this doesn't change now, I'm going to have a whole lot more work to do later. Okay. I'll tell you what happens in a year a lot. How many of us were more motivated than we ever been January 1, 2020, right? What happened last year? So many things can happen. So understand that a lot of things, this year is not promised to be a better year than last year, guys.
No.
For our environment, for our surroundings, there is no promise that this year is going to be better than last year as a whole, right? The only difference is going to be your mindset, and how you approach this challenge. So what are your deadlines? Well, your deadlines have to be yearly, monthly, so on and so forth. So if you don't win this January, yeah, you could say, oh, well, I'll win in February. The problem with not winning in January is winning in February becomes so much harder. So this month is the most important month of your year. It doesn't matter what else happens, but this month is important. So January really truly is your deadline to win. There should really be no losing in January, because the more you lose in January, the harder it's going to be to win the rest of your year. I'm not saying that you've lost after January. I'm not saying you've lost after February. I'm just saying that you've got to give the most momentum in January in order to push yourself to the rest of the year. So at what points do you reassess and assess and you look at your game plans, right? So just to recap, guys, we've got a few more, and I'll let everybody get back to their Sunday. But number 1, you have to accept the challenge. Number 2, you have to prepare for the challenge. And number 3, you have to accept the shifting of the challenge throughout your time frame. So accept the shift is what I wrote down. Accept the shift. Accept that mid-month, you might have to change some things in order to win. You might have to reevaluate your game plan. So that's number 3. Number 4, accept the outcomes. So what do you do if you win? Well, take notes. The problem with winning sometimes is we win and we just go, man, that felt good to win. I can't wait to win again. And then the next month comes and we win a little bit less. We still win, but we win a little bit less. And we win a little bit less till pretty soon all the winning kind of disappears. And I think a lot of us on here have been through that. We've hit the ground running. We've experienced a lot of success, and our success is starting to diminish as the months go on. I saw this a lot last year too. So what do we do if I win? What do I do if I win? Well, what you do if you win is you write down the things that you did to win. You write down the things you did to win, and you cross out the things that you did that didn't help you win. So you go back and you look and you go, all right, well, you know what? this was really effective for me. I did this and this and this and this. Not everybody on here gets to speak on a Zoom, right? Not everybody gets to go back and tell the whole team what you did to be successful. But at the same time, be prepared if we call on you. If we call on you to lead a Zoom and tell us how you won, you should have notes about how you won. Mm-hmm. And if you expect to win again, you should have notes to go back and look at to tell you how you won and what you did to win. So what do you do if you win? You take notes. And another thing is, guys, I love this business for everything that it is. And what I look at everybody. They always say that, you don't have to be a good originator. You just have to be a good duplicator. And I truly believe that that's true. Okay. But at the same time, we all have different styles and approaches of how we do things. You definitely don't want to reinvent the wheel, but you also want to make sure that what you're doing, you're keeping track of. Because if you are doing something that you think is going to work and it doesn't, scratch it. Don't ever do it again. Okay. Understand that it did not help you win. Be realistic and scratch it out. Don't ever do it again. Right. If it's something that took up too much of your time, I'm not saying you have to eliminate it from your life altogether, but maybe reduce the time you spend on it, whatever it is. Yeah. So the thing is that winning can become a habit and losing can become a habit. I think the more willing we are to accept defeat and the more willing we are to dismiss defeat, the more willing we are to make losing a habit. It should not necessarily make you angry in the sense where you're yelling and screaming when you lose, but you should have that feeling deep down in the pit of your stomach that is disgusted by the outcome of losing a contest. And I say that with the best intentions of saying, if you don't have that feeling, then you don't have the right amount of passion that you do to be engaged in the contest anyways. If you're not playing to win, what are you spending your time on? Because again, in order to win, you have to lose. So if you're playing to win, you have to be willing to lose those things. And so if you do lose things in the pursuit to win and you don't win, it should give you that feeling in the pit of your stomach. We should never like that. If any of you guys have ever seen the movie Moneyball, it's a great movie. I suggest you watch it immediately. It's on almost every streaming platform. But in Moneyball, the manager of the team, which Brad Pitt plays the manager of the team, his team's losing every single game that they're playing. And every time they lose, they go in the locker room and they have a party. They're, drinking beer and they're joking and laughing and dancing. And he walks in and he throws a baseball bat at the wall and he looks at everybody and asks them, do you like to lose? Is it fun to lose? Do you enjoy losing? And that is a question, unfortunately, we've got to ask ourselves, if we haven't been winning, we have to ask ourselves, are you okay with this? Are you okay with losing? And most of the time, the answer you find is going to be, no, I'm not okay with this. So it's definitely good to learn from a loss, but it is not okay to lose. Does that make sense? It's definitely okay to learn, but it's never something you should go, oh, well, I tried. You can't make winning a habit with that kind of an outlook. You have to look at it and say, you know what? I tried really hard and I lost and it made me sick. So now I'm going to win and I'm going to make that a habit. Because again, if we just write down the things that we did when we lost and we never write down the things that we won, we're always just going to pay attention to the things that we did to lose, right? So exactly. So make it a habit to win. Don't make it a habit to lose. And my last sports reference for the day, this is what actually started this conversation. I said, you guys realize that April 20th, 1986, Michael Jordan I think he was a rookie that year. He scored 63 points in a playoff game against Boston Celtics. It was a phenomenal game. I mean, there was nothing. I mean, everything that he shot, he made. No one can guard him. No one could stop him. He was just unbelievably on fire. Arguably one of the greatest playoff games ever played. Definitely the best game ever played by a rookie. Unbelievable that people still talk about this game. Problem is the Bulls lost, right? So it doesn't really matter what he did because they still lost. At the end of the day, an L is an L. That's it. He still lost, right? So who is on his team? I think this is very important to look at who was on Michael Jordan's team when he lost that game. When they lost that game, he scored 63 points. So I'm just going to give you last names, right? G. Banks, D. Corzine, Michael Jordan, C. Oakley, J. Paxton. We don't recognize any of those names more than likely, except for Michael Jordan, right? Which is why he had to score 63 points in the game to even be competitive. First championship won by the Chicago Bulls in 1990. The starters were Bill Cartwright, Horace Grant, Michael Jordan, John Paxson, and Scottie Pippen. Now, John Paxson was on the 86 team. John Paxson was also on the first championship team, which means that he probably was a champion. That's why he was still there. My point to saying this is the teams aren't always going to look the same. And this works for every single level. So when you look at your team, the people that you're responsible with, we love them. We give them all the tools that they need to succeed. But we also have to understand that our championship team might not look like our team does right now. And it's the most unfortunate part about the business, but it is the reality of any certain contest. The reality of the contest is your team is just not going to look the same when you win. It's inevitable that the team is going to change. So understand that. And the reason why I say that is because you want to keep that frame of mind and understand that the people that are standing next to you or the people that are on your team that don't want to engage in the challenge, that's okay. You don't want to peer pressure someone in to accepting a challenge, because if you do, then there's going to be so many different reasons why they don't succeed. And the root of the matter is they just don't want to compete, and that's okay. And everybody needs to be okay with the fact that not everybody on their team is going to compete. So what do you do in that situation? What do you do if you've got somebody on your team that you know is unwilling to compete? You figure out what they can do. You figure out, hey guys, basketball teams, they have people that come and spray water in your mouth when you're tired. They do it on football teams. They've got a guy that picks up all the equipment. They've got a guy that they've got a girl that stretches everybody. They've got a girl that is an assistant coach. They've got a guy that does this and does that. They've got all these people have all these different roles that aren't necessarily on the team, and that's okay. So figure out what they can do, and if they say, if you know that they are unwilling to engage, they're still part of the team, but figure out what they can do, how they can help. In other words, don't try to peer pressure someone into engaging. That is the decision that they have to make on their own. So give them, figure out where they can help, what they can do. Focus them on the things that they are willing to do. And again, at the end of the day, if they're only willing to do the bare minimum, if they're not willing to do more than they need to be successful, and they're not willing to engage on multiple occasions, they're not part of the team. And as much as it hurts to say that, that is the truth. They're not part of the team if they're not even willing to engage in the contest. Because think about it. Those of you who played sports before, if you ever had somebody that just didn't show up, didn't get on the bus, didn't go with you, the coach didn't play him, number one. Number two, how did you feel about that person who found something more important than the team? We can't lose that. We've all grown up a lot since then, but at the same time, those feelings still stay the same. When someone is not willing to show up and engage in the contest, we have to understand that is an indication that they're maybe not made for the team, unfortunately. All right. So secondly, amongst all that, again, going back to the rosters, okay, so we named the 90 team, the 98 team, which was the last championship team that Michael Jordan played on. Most of us probably know that roster. So it was Ron Harper, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Luke Longley, Dennis Rodman. We all have heard a lot more of those names. But between 90 and 98, they won 6 NBA championships. And the team from 98 even to 90 looked a little bit different, okay? So those things are going to change. The people on your team are going to change. But you know what? There's new people on that team. And that brings me to my last point here, guys, and that is everything is a cycle. In that cycle, in this business, it's the same as any direct sales business on planet Earth. We have 3 responsibilities to be successful. They are to recruit, to train, and to motivate. Those are our responsibilities. And that's not even necessarily it's not really necessarily engaging in a contest. Those are your expectations and duties for signing up. And so really, you can give that to anybody that signs up today. You can say, hey, there's 3 things we've got to do. It's really simple. We want to recruit, we want to train, we want to motivate. That's what we want to do. Okay. And so what happens if you've recruited someone, you've trained that someone, and you're motivating that someone, and they're still not moving? It's a cycle, which means we go all the way back, and we start all the way back at the beginning. And then we recruit, train, and motivate. And if that person is not moving anywhere, go back, we recruit, we train, and we motivate. Okay. So if you find yourself spending too much time on someone who is non-mobile, not moving, not doing anything, not listening, not applying anything, go back and focus that energy on recruiting, training, and motivating. And that's your cycle. Another cycle is the career growth cycle, right? The learning cycle. So when you recruit someone, you have to think about, if you're not thinking about what it was like when you got recruited, then you're missing a lot of elements, right? So think about when you said yes, when you signed up. We talk about it all the time, right? What's your why? What's your why? What got you into this business, right? I don't think it's as much as what got you into the business, but it's how you felt when you got in this business that's going to take you far. So how did you feel? Were you excited? Yes. Were you learning things that you didn't know before? Yes, you were learning a lot of new things. And just like anything else, when you're learning something new, you're excited to talk about it. You're excited to share it. You're excited to apply it, whatever you can do, right? As fast as you can do it. You'll never be more excited than you were when you were learning new things. So if you find yourself lacking excitement in this business, instead of trying to duplicate and copy all the things you see in front of you, why not learn something new? There's a lot of great stuff in this team, and you guys all do a wonderful job. But maybe there's some other distributor that's successful somewhere else, and maybe we didn't say, hey, listen to this person. But maybe you just found them on your own and said, man, I really like this person. I like what they're doing. I like the things that they're doing. It's not really what we're doing in our team, but it works. So let's learn some new things. So when you learn new things and you're excited, you start to rise up through the ranks, right? You start to rise up to different levels. You start to attain different goals. Okay. There's 2 options that you have when you're rising up through these different levels. You can either maintain your excitement, continue to be excited, or you can stop being excited. You can pretend that you know everything. You can stop learning, stop listening, stop applying, stop moving. Let all the things that shouldn't be getting in your way get in your way, and you can become stagnant. And everybody knows what stagnation is, right? That's a pond that doesn't move. And what happens when a pond doesn't move? It attracts, mosquitoes and bugs and flies and you name it, a bunch of things we don't want around us, right? That's what happens when you're stagnant. You're just not moving. You're not fresh water, right? So then after stagnation, then what happens? Well, you have a big choice when you become stagnant. You can either go back to square one and learn some new things, or you can leave. And unfortunately, a lot of people leave. People leave this business. It's just the nature of the beast. We've seen a lot of people leave. We worked for somebody under somebody that left, right? We worked for several somebodies that left, and it hurt our feelings, and it caused a lot of ripples. But at the same time, you know what? If that person was in a position where they felt like they needed to leave and not learn new things and not renew themselves, they weren't good for us at that point, right? We weren't going to gain anything from them being around if they were in that particular mindset, right? So it's a good thing they either left or started over again, right? So if you find yourself in stagnation, you go back and you start to learn some new things. And when you learn those new things, you're going to get excited and you're going to pass it on, right? So if let's just say that you've learned some new things, you're excited, you're rising through the ranks, you're maintaining your excitement, then you're going to start reaching your goals. And when you start to reach your goals, maybe your goal is to become a diamond. Well, when you became a diamond, then what? Well, you didn't plan for it. And so therefore, because you didn't plan for it, you might not know what to do. You might say, oh, I guess the next thing I got to do is be a double diamond, right? But I don't know how to get there because I haven't planned for it, okay? You're probably going to have to learn some new things. Your team's probably going to change a little bit. Who you focus on on your team is going to change a little bit. Those things are all going to change, but you have to go back to square one again, and you have to learn some new things. You have to learn what a double diamond does and how they get to the next level and so on and so forth. So you have to learn those new things. So when you learn those new things, you renew your excitement, you renew your energy. Okay. But at any level, I mean, guys, come on, we've seen people that were, making hundreds of thousands of dollars leave the business. And we asked ourselves, like, why would they do that if they were making such a good income? You know what? Because at a certain point, the money isn't as important as how you feel day to day. Every day that you wake up, every day that you decide that you're going to do this and accept every challenge, you know what? I hate to say it, but at least they understood where they were at that particular moment, and they realized that by being stagnant and not having anything to offer their team, the money wasn't as important, because you know what? They could have just sat back and continued to make money on everybody. And honestly, some of them did longer than they should have, but they could have done that forever. They really could. And the fact that they were honest with themselves and they said, you know what, this is just not, I'm no good to anybody, I think is a little bit more noble. But you know what? If you find yourself stuck in that situation, I don't want to stay and I don't want to leave, I'm stagnant, go back and start over in this business, because starting over in this business is the same as starting with any other business. You're going to have to do the same exact things. So you might as well save your time and energy and start with something new in this business. There's so many different things you can learn. There's so many different ways that you can be successful. So start over new, no matter what it is. So if you found yourself in a spot last year, maybe in the middle of the year, towards the end of the year, whatever it is, wherever you're at, you can say, you know what? I'm probably not very good to anybody. And I can sit here and continue to feel bad about this whole situation and feel bad about everything that I've done and feel bad about my non-control, or I can just learn new things. I can start over, be a different person, learn new things, become excited, excite my team with the things that I've learned, tell everybody what my goals are and what I plan on doing. But just whatever it is, that's how you start over new. You learn some new things. You figure out that there's other ways to get there. There's so many different ways to be successful, guys. But the biggest thing, the biggest way is to challenge yourself consistently and accept the challenge. That's all you have to do. Is you have to say, you know what? I don't know what this is going to look like, but I'm going to A, accept the challenge. B, I'm going to figure out what I need to do to win. And 3, I'm going to figure out what happens if I start to lose. And 4, I'm going to figure out what happens when I win so that I can continue winning. And those to me are the 4 steps of playing to win and not playing to lose.
Yes.
Or playing to hope not to lose, I guess is a better way to say it. Any questions? All right.
Oh my gosh, you guys, that was so good. And we started talking about this in the car, and I was like, you have got to talk about this like with the team, because y'all, like I know personally, like for me, I've been in this business almost 6 years. It'll be 6 years in April. And so I've had many times, many life seasons, many times that I have felt defeated, and I have felt like I'm playing to lose, and I'm, all these different things. And especially when you have an enroller, I mean, like, guys, if you could just think about like how you guys would feel if I came to you and I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to quit. Okay, bye. And then just left, right? Like how that would make you feel. It's happened to me twice. It's happened to me twice with both of my uplines. And so there's been so many different things over the last almost 6 years. And I'll tell you right now, my roots are so planted and I'm not going anywhere. And I am here for life. But I want to, like he was talking about Michael Jordan, and he was talking about, you can't pull somebody to the finish line. You just can't. And I was like, what do you mean? He said, and then we started talking about that. And I said, yes, there are, and you guys know, we've talked about this before, especially if you have been on a Diamond and Up leader call with me. We've talked about pulling people with you to the finish line. And here's the thing is, like, he said, Michael Jordan did that. He tried that and it didn't work. The Bulls still lost. And, we watched that documentary. I can't remember, what is it on?
It's on Netflix.
It's on Netflix. So if you look up the Michael Jordan documentary, it's I think it's called The Bulls, isn't it?
The Last Dance.
Or The Last Dance. It's called The Last Dance. And it's so good. But it goes through all these different things. And when you really look at the grit and the hard work and the dedication and the discipline that Michael Jordan had, and he just scored and scored and scored and scored and scored and scored, and he was having to drag his team to a championship. They did not win that championship. And so I'm telling you right now that in 2020, I felt like I had to do that with so many, and I'm not willing to repeat that in 2021. So if you are wanting to be dedicated and be disciplined and work and truly do the things, you can't cheat the hustle, you guys. You can't say you're going to practice and you're not practicing, and then you get thrown into a game and you don't know how to score. It just doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way, and you can't cheat the hustle. You just can't. And so I'm willing to lock arms with the individuals that are saying, you're telling me I need to grow my network. You're telling me I need a message. You're telling me that I need to read a book a month. You're telling me I need to grow my mindset. You're telling me I need to take a Sabbath so that way my spouse doesn't feel ignored or neglected because of this business. I'll do all the things. I'm willing to lock arms and run across the finish line and win a championship with the ones that are wanting to do the things. I see you, girl. The ones that are wanting to do the things, because I'm not dragging anybody. I tried that in 2020, and you know what? We stayed a double diamond team because I could not drag everybody, and I'm not doing it in 2021. So I absolutely love you guys, and I believe in every single one of y'all with everything that I've got in me. And if I know that little old me from Three Rivers America can do this business and be successful and retire from a large corporate bank and pay off my car and build my credit and buy a house and do all the things and never miss a beat with my kids, I know if I can do it with one stoplight and a Dairy Queen, so can you. So I love you guys. Thank y'all so much for hopping on and spending an hour of my birthday with me, almost an hour of my birthday with me, 48 minutes of my birthday with me. I appreciate you guys so much. I love y'all, and I'm fired up about 2021. So I'll talk to you guys later. Y'all have a good day.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.